Welcome to Indiana University, the first annual World Language Festival. My name is James Chen. I'm the director of SALTI. Today we are honored to have our Dean of College of Arts and Science to speak to us this morning. Dr. Bennett Erdendorf was appointed Dean of Course and James Rudy Professor of Psychological and Brain Science at Indiana University in January 2007. He is nationally known scholar in the field of cognitive neuroscience, and his academic credential includes more than 100 articles in prestigious scientific publications. Before coming to IU, Dean Erdendorf was a professor of psychology and computational neuroscience at the University of Chicago. He has also served as the assistant director of the Social, Behavioral, and Economic Science Directorate of the National Science Foundation. He began his career at the University of Virginia, where he served on the faculty for 2 decades. Please join me to welcome Dean Erdendorf.
That's a slight technical glitch here. That's why.
He's going to.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. What a difference a week makes. If this was last week, I suspect all of you would be looking for an extra seat to put your jackets and coats and hats. And here it is, feeling like the middle of spring already. Welcome to all of you, to the students, to the parents, to the educators. I'm really delighted to have you all here for the first World Language Festival, sponsored by the Center for Language Technology and Instructional Enrichment and the College of Arts and Sciences. I'd like to begin by thanking a few people who helped to make today happen, including James Chan, the director, and Roger Crandall and Dale Allen, who helped put together the website and provided technical support, including a little support just now for me. I also want to offer a special thank you to the faculty members and students who are volunteering their time today to present. And a very special thank you to Melissa Flood, the coordinator of today's World Language Festival. I don't know how much you know about IU, but the university is made up of 13 major schools, including the College of Arts and Sciences, the Maurer School of Law, the Kelley School of Business, and so on and so on. But it's the College of Arts and Sciences that is the largest and oldest of all the schools. And we offer over 64 different areas of study, from astronomy to West European studies. The study of languages at IU is taught within the College of Arts and Sciences, and we at the college are proud of continuing the long and venerable tradition of language study that dates back to the earliest days of IU. Today, Indiana University enrolls more than 38,000 students. But when Indiana began in the early 1800s, it started with one professor teaching Greek and Latin. We now teach more than 40 languages to satisfy our degree requirements, and also teach 37 more during the summer or in shortened courses. For the first century of the school's existence, IU offered Greek, Latin, and a few languages that are known as Romance languages: German, Spanish, and Italian. It was during World War II, however, that the language program at IU really began to take off. During the war, the Department of Defense established what was known as the Army Specialized Training Program here at IU. The university hired professors and set up classes to train soldiers to read newspapers and listen to radio broadcasts in Eastern European languages, including Russian, Finnish, Hungarian, and Polish. After the war, the legendary president of IU, Herman Wells, asked the professors who had been hired for the program to stay on here at IU. And they created what would become the leading program of Russian studies in the country. Last week, we held a conference to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Russian and East European Studies Institute, an offshoot of the original Russian Studies program, and it continues to be one of the leading programs for studying Eastern Europe in the country. During the 1950s and 60s, Indiana University added additional classes in languages that served our country's interests, including Chinese and Japanese by 1959, Arabic in 61, Korean, Mongolian, and Turkish in 62. When the Peace Corps was started in 1961, they needed to train people to speak the languages of the countries involved in their global humanitarian efforts, and began to start teaching classes in African languages, such as Sara, Diola, and Yu. And even today, we're still adding languages, such as Norwegian, Twi, and Urdu, three of the most recent additions to our programs. Today, we offer more than 70 languages to students at IU. Learning other languages is more important than ever before. How many of you have heard the name Tom Friedman, who wrote the book, The World is Flat? According to Friedman, there have been three great eras of globalization. The first began with the discovery of America by Columbus and continued until around 1800. With the discovery of America, the world shrunk from size large to size medium. In this first era, globalization was motivated primarily as a way of acquiring resources. The second great era was 1800 till the year 2000. It just ended. During this era, the world shrunk from a size medium to a size small. We're not talking about shoes now. We're talking about the entire world. This era was really spearheaded by companies globalizing for markets and for labor. Now we have entered a whole new era of globalization. The internet is shrinking the world from the size small to the size tiny and flattening the global economic playing field at the same time. Consider, for example, Walmart or UPS. These are companies we don't traditionally think of as being gold mines or of insights into globalization. But in fact, if you understand what's going on inside these companies, you can get an amazing view of the flattening of the world and the global playing fields in which these forces are operating. In the case of Walmart, the great innovation is that it doesn't make anything. But what they do is draw products from all over the world and get them into stores at incredibly low prices. I don't think there's any controversy about that, at least for Walmart. How do they do that? Through a global supply chain that has been designed down to the last atom of efficiency. So as you take an item off the shelf in New Haven, another will immediately be made in Shenzhen, China, for example. So there's perfect knowledge and transparency throughout the supply chain. How can all of you prepare for this flattened world? Language. It introduces you to new realms of ideas, customs, habits, and values. Competition for the best jobs and for admission to top-rated graduate and professional schools is intense. And as you all know, it's intense to get into college as well. Directly and indirectly, the study of languages and their cultures and literatures will provide you with important job-related knowledge and skills that can give you a competitive edge. These include the ability to solve problems and to think analytically and creatively, to communicate effectively and confidently in writing and in person, and to act with versatility and flexibility. Leaders and decision makers must be able to access information, to understand it, and interpret it critically. Linguistic and cultural knowledge is essential to meet these challenges. Exposure to another culture through its language will position you more favorably for success in your career, whatever you choose to do. In the case of my daughter, she was a Latin American studies major and fluent in Spanish. But when she graduated, she went into the restaurant business in Chicago. Now, she never thought speaking fluent Spanish was going to make a difference. But it turns out that many of the kitchen staff in restaurants in Chicago speak primarily Spanish. And that gave my daughter a competitive edge over all the other young, aspiring people who want to become assistant managers, because she could talk to the kitchen staff and the employers felt more confident with her being there. So it's not even necessarily the case that you're going to know ahead of time how valuable your language training will be. I'd like you to consider some of the challenges of remaining monolingual in a global society. This first cartoon shows the disadvantages of knowing only one language beginning in childhood. Okay, I figured if I didn't hear a snicker, you weren't reading, or the cartoon wasn't legible. Now, this next cartoon is geared more for the Epicureans in the audience. And finally, this last cartoon is presented primarily for the parents in the audience. You have to appreciate this one. Now, many of our graduates have clearly benefited from the exceptional training they've received at IU. Recall that I mentioned a conference last week to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Russian and East European Institute. At this conference, I met James Collins, who served as the U.S. ambassador to the Russian Federation from 1997 to 2001. After receiving his BA at Harvard, he came to IU to study at the Russian and East European Studies Institute. In the 1970s, he began a career in the U.S. Diplomatic Corps, serving for the U.S. Foreign Service and the State Department, first in Amman, Jordan, then in Izmir, Turkey, and finally in Moscow. Today, Ambassador Collins is director of the Russian and Eurasia Program for the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, and he continues to apply his knowledge of Russia and the Middle East as a diplomatic advisor and as a member of many international nonprofit organizations. Let me introduce you to Dr. Irene Meister. I know Irene. She's a member of my advisory board. As you can see, she graduated from Indiana University over 50 years ago. She graduated in 1948 with a bachelor's degree in linguistics. This was a time when many women were actively discouraged from pursuing careers outside of the home. She went on to earn a master's degree in East European Studies from IU and a doctorate in international law and economics at Tufts. With her language skills and knowledge of Islamic law, Dr. Meister quickly found her skills much in demand in many areas. She became an executive for the American Forest and Paper Association, a staff member for a member of Congress, an executive for Mobil Oil Corporation, a private consultant to multinational corporations, and even an advisor to President Reagan on export issues. Another graduate of IU is Lynn Berry, who was the senior editor of the Moscow Times newspaper from 2001 to 2006, and is still a correspondent on Russian affairs for the Associated Press. She received her master's degree here at Indiana University in Slavic languages and literatures, as well as a certificate in the Russian and East European Studies Institute. After graduation, Lynn worked for Warsaw University as a research fellow and then began her journalism career at the bottom, working as a general assignment and police reporter for a Philadelphia newspaper. But she didn't remain a police reporter for long. By taking advantage of her advanced language skills, she quickly advanced to the international desk of the AP in New York, and then to the Moscow Bureau, and finally to the Moscow Times. These are just a few examples of how graduates at Indiana University have used their skills to advance their careers in some pretty amazing ways. Even before you graduate, you can apply your language skills by enrolling in one of the many study abroad programs. Let me highlight the experience of two of the students who are volunteering here today as facilitators. Ana Livia Coelho is a senior, majoring in Spanish and journalism. Last year, she spent 2 semesters studying in Madrid. As she tells it, her experiences in Madrid allowed her to gain invaluable insights into adapting to other ways of thinking and learning, both in and out of the classroom. She got to travel to Morocco, France, Portugal, and Italy, and found herself growing intellectually and socially. She was afraid that her resume would not attract much interest this year because she lacked experience with internships. But the employers she has met have been very impressed by her study abroad experience and especially her multilingual skills. Scott Schaffer is a junior majoring in Spanish and International Relations with a certificate in journalism. Originally from the northern suburbs of Chicago, he spent the fall semester in Argentina, taking classes that all transferred as credit toward his major and certificate. Before he went, he was already fluent in Spanish, but now he has an Argentinian accent. And that goes along with his knowledge of Argentina's geography and culture. While he was in South America, he had the amazing experiences of traveling to the waterfalls of southern Brazil, climbing the ice glaciers of Patagonia, walking the ancient Incan city of Machu Picchu, and touring Argentina's wine country. Along the way, gaining invaluable knowledge of other cultures and obviously wines as well. I know you want to get to the demonstrations and presentations, so let me just close with the following advice. Knowing another language enriches your personal life, expands the range of professional opportunities open to you, and increases your power to act as a citizen of the world. At the college level, you can begin a new language or build on your knowledge of a language that you have already studied. Colleges may also be the first chance you will have to study languages, such as Russian, Chinese, Japanese, or Arabic, or even less commonly taught languages as some that I've listed on this slide. Forget the myth that you have to learn languages as a child. In the classroom, young adults can learn faster and more effectively than small children. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy your day here at the World Language Festival.
Thank you, Dean Bernenthal. Today we have scheduled 17 presentations and many other exhibits for you to have a chance to meet people from all over the world and use your foreign language skills and hopefully learn some new ones. This morning we have great pleasure to have 3 artists from Central Asia to share with us their cultures. Let's start with Anya Gallagher. She will perform a Uzbek dance. Let's welcome her.
Hello everybody. I'm going to perform Uzbek dance, and this dance is from Horizon region. it's called Leslie.
Let me try it. I would like to do that. The next performer is Mongolian horse head fiddle, Galgaba Oof.
This instrument is called horsehead fiddle, metaphor in Mongolian, and has 2 strings, a Mongolian national instrument. And the melody I'm going to play today is called Iktik Shikmufuk, which means he killed me living in my house then. So.
Special treat? Okay, the next one, the last one, before we move on to the presentation. We have Alice Anderson. She will perform a Uyghur song, Ula Yan.
As you just said, this is an Uyghur folk song from Xinjiang. It's a folk song about love, as many songs tend to be about.
Acışınla bakınca praydu beş giren bağı, praydu beş giren bağı. Ecemu yaman iken kıyak otunun dağı, kıyak otunun dağı. Başımı zor itincenin faydalarına güldüm ben. Vay, sütü balon kurdum ben.
I hope all of you have the presentation schedule, the program schedule, and we have 7 presentation schedule on all 3 floors of our town hall. The way it works is we have a presentation for students, that means for all of us, open to all of us. And we also have special presentation for teachers and parents. We have the sessions on the schedule, and you are welcome to explore as many as you want. And we have this next one starting at 10. We are almost there. So I hope you enjoy the festival and wish you all the best to explore and learn how to enrich your life with our world languages and culture. Good luck. Goodbye. Thank you for coming.